Hello, welcome. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Fred Yakey, and I'm happy to help explore many ideas and many ways that we're going to be talking today. I'm honored to have a guest that we're going to dive into, but what I love to do before we open up any podcast, any speaker, I want to kind of lead into something that's really been on my heart and heavy. This is a true story. I was an undergrad at Kentucky State University, and I was in class. No one was really paying attention. It was a Spanish class. Ironically, the professor was from the United Kingdom. He had a really heavy accent, and he lost the class, and I was there, lost in the back. And he mentioned something that really got my attention, and to this day, I never forgot it. He said, a lot of people say no one's perfect, but that's not actually true. He said, when you unpack the word perfect into two syllables, per and feck, per means fully, like when you cook and it says per ounce, per this, fully, and feck means complete. So another way of looking at perfect is fully complete, it's not flawless. And I want to talk to you about today, what does perfect mean? And I have someone here who has really been an influencer in many people's lives and has perfected a lot of things that I believe that we can learn from today. And I want to help you welcome to the podcast, the one and only Jimmie McMillan.
Thank you.
Brother, how you doing? I appreciate you taking time for me.
I appreciate having the opportunity to be here today in this space and just, been an admirer of everything that you've done.
Thank you.
And this is just awesome. This is fantastic, man. This is wonderful.
It is, man. So for those who don't know, we actually in a live barbershop. We are here located in a high school, Providence Cristo Rey High School, in the basement, where one of our wonderful corporate partners that we're going to talk about, 811 Foundation, has sponsored a state-of-the-art facility. And I thought it'd be fitting for us to come here and us have a conversation about what we are. So Jimmie, man, I'm not gonna give you the whole spiel because people are gonna Google you once you're on here. But man, I just wanna dive into some things that I am very proud about because I know it's helped shape my life. And I think our audience really can appreciate some of the things that you have said to me before that hopefully we can talk about today. And I just wanna have a dialogue with you, man. You know, we really are about mentorship. Our tagline is grooming the outer man and guiding the inner man. I want to know, Jimmie, not just who you are, but what in your life shaped who you are to do what you do today?
Well, I'd be remiss to not say that what shaped my life is God and my faith. From the south side of Chicago, grew up in an area called the Wild Hundreds. My mom was a school teacher and taught for 36 years. She taught special education students. She was phenomenal at it. My father never worked and had an alcohol problem. And every year of our life, we were on the run. I would routinely switch schools, end up going down to Mississippi, which is where my mom was from, be down there for a week or a month or two, and then end up coming back or go to the other side of town in Chicago, and my mother would always go back. And I had a really crazy childhood in which my grandfather shot my father. And at some point, my father shot my mother.
Wow.
And all through that, my mother just pressed education, education, education. Education is the way to get out of Chicago. When I was in school, it was a big gang time in Chicago. My best friend was shot in a drive-by. And my mother just pressed upon me, you can get out of this if you can do well in school. And so I actually went to college when I was 16 years old.
Wait a second, 16?
16. Went to college when I was 16 years old at Michigan State University.
Yeah.
And it was common, there were a lot of very smart and intelligent African Americans in Chicago, and they had a gifted program. My mother of my children, she actually went to college when she was 15, went to the same high school. And when I went to college, I thought everything would be better. And that's actually when my father tried to shoot me in the dorm. And it's actually when my father shot my mother and I flunked out of school. And during that time, I ended up working odd jobs at Best Buy and then at Firestone. And it was at that time that I got great mentorship from a manager of that Firestone and then a man named George Telefaro, who, if nobody knows, he is the
IU legend, right?
the first African American to play in the NFL.
Yeah, he was your mentor?
Yes.
Man.
And he actually helped and guided and mentored me into getting back in school and then going to law school and now having the career that I have now. So, I went from that place with the mentorship that I got, going back to school, going to IU McKinney Law School, graduating, clerking for the Indiana Supreme Court, going to Barnes & Thornburg, one of the largest law firms in the country, becoming a partner there after 12 years, and then going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the home of the largest single-day sporting event in the world, and becoming senior corporate counsel and chief diversity officer, where I now work and have been for 8 years.
Man, that's huge, brother. That's absolutely huge. I just learned something new about that, man. So now, all of that trauma, because that's what that was. In education, there's a course and there's a test you can take. It's called ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences.
Yes.
And if I were to give you that test, I'm sure you would probably be off the chart. There's a lot of people that go through trauma, man. And trauma helps to shape their experiences, it helps to shape their relationships, it helps to shape. Is it safe to say that trauma has shaped who you are until this day?
Oh, absolutely, in helpful and hurtful ways. You know, you learn and you know what you know from your experiences, and you think that that's the world. And I think so many people don't perceive how their childhood and how some of those trauma situations have affected them, where they stand on business and they believe that some of the things that they've learned at home are the right ways to do things, and that everybody should do it, and it's motivating and it's driving, but sometimes it's very hurtful and painful and not necessarily the most positive things. And so it's interesting that ideal of fully complete and that no one's perfect. I still believe that I am still trying to become fully complete in so many ways. I'm trying to perfect so many things about myself, many of which I thought were great. And so when I look at, hey, you know, the spectrums of places that I hang with lawyers, but I'm also the president of the largest motorcycle club in the state. Yeah. So I hang with a whole nother group of folks. And that gives me a broader perspective of where my perfections are lacking and where I might perceive life in a certain way, but from another standpoint, life is perceived in a completely different way, many times because those folks went through different childhood trauma.
Man, listen, we can keep going on and on, brother. I appreciate that, man, because I got some ideas in my head. But before I ask that next question, I appreciate you shaping trauma, because I want to come back to that, hopefully, if we have time later. There's a question that some of our students have proposed. Yep. If you were to tell I normally say your 16-year-old self, when you were 16, you was in college. Most 16-year-olds in high school. So let me say this. If you could say if you was a freshman, most freshmen are 14. What would you tell your 14-year-old self then? That's what I want to say, that you know now.
Don't quit. Don't quit. I mean, fight. The folks who have lost, the people that you see who have failed, they failed not because they weren't smart enough. They failed not because they weren't talented enough. They failed because they quit. Don't quit on yourself. Every single day when you feel like quitting, find motivation, find the drive to get up and do what you need to do to get things done. Whether that's your health, whether that's your education, whether that's work, whether that's taking care of your family. You can't believe the number of people who truly are where they at in life because they have made that their stopping point. And they've quit on themselves, or they've quit on others, and they quit believing that they can go be above and beyond where they're at. And if you just keep that principle of, I'm never gonna quit, even if I fail, because failure is normal. Failure is actually a gift, it's a blessing. Because
good, man.
I tell my kids, I learn more about you when you fail than when you succeed. I learn more about you when you lose, whether you're the type of person to dig out from a hole, to get up off the ground, to pick yourself up, to keep believing in yourself and keep pushing. That's the lesson that I think I would have wanted to know when I was 16, and it's the lesson that you need to know when you're 49.
Absolutely. 49. You 49?
Yes.
Man, you look good to be 49. I'm 41. You see the gray in my beard. Man, so this is the season of giving. I want to talk a little bit about, man, how I came to know you. I've heard about you, and me and you were blessed to go through a remarkable program that is really one of the first in this kind in the country, called Stanley K. Lacy Executive Leadership. It's called SKL, highly competitive to get in. In fact, they tell you when you're applying, you know, you might get delayed, you might get denied. I have an idea you was probably accepted on your first time hearing your story, and I was too. So that's probably what we got in common. But going through this leadership series, man, it really gives you the format of a lot of experience of how Indianapolis was shaped. How does it feel to you, man, to be a difference maker? You're the first African American to hold your position. And you are in a position in racing that is largely dominated by people who are not black.
You know, first I would say I feel blessed and amazed at God's blessing to bring me to this place and to this point from where I came from. I always tell folks it's easy to look at me now and say, oh, sure, it was a given, but it was not, I assure you.
Yeah.
And so to be here is a blessing. The second is it's frustrating. I remain frustrated because I realize how many people are not in the position that I'm in. I remain frustrated because I know how many folks could be in my position or better, but they don't have the wisdom, they don't have the investment, they don't have the knowledge, they haven't been given the opportunity, and they haven't been inspired in a way to get them to that place. And so every day of my life, I feel both blessed and frustrated because I want everybody to shine. I haven't had a bad second at work, not one bad second at work since May 2nd, 2016.
Come on, brother.
Do you know how amazing that is?
Yeah.
And I know people who every day of their life live in misery, whether they went to college or not. Every day of their life, they're broke, poverty, struggling. And I look and say, there's nothing exceptional about me other than, one, I didn't quit. I kept fighting. Two, I reached out to people who knew more than me, and I gave them the respect of listening, and then I showed them I could run the play. And that is something that we have to be able to do if we're going to grow and develop together. We have spent hundreds of years retreading the same path that others have done without asking them, how did you do it so I don't have to take the same pitfalls and the same path?
Talk is cheap, brother.
You know,
it don't cost you that much to talk. It don't cost you that much to listen, man. You rather pay than to reach out and listen.
But it can be invaluable.
Brother.
Invaluable. And you talk about Stanley K. Lacy, I mean, that's a good example. There's people who don't even know Stanley K. Lacy exists.
Exactly.
And there's a Stanley K. Lacy in every major city. It's basically the knighthood of them deciding who's going to run the city for the next 20 or 30 years. When you get picked for Stanley K. Lacy, that's what it is. And so you've got folks who are out there in their profession and they don't know why they're not matriculating up, why they're not getting promoted, because they're not in these leadership series, they're not on boards, they're not hearing that, and there's no roadmap for that that's written down for you that they're gonna hand you when you start your job. You gotta sit down and break bread with brothers and sisters who've been there to say, hey, not only am I gonna tell you about Stanley K. Lacy, I'm gonna give you my application.
That's right.
I'm gonna write a letter of recommendation for you. I'm gonna introduce you to the people who are on the committee. I'm gonna do everything in my power to help you get to where I'm at faster and more successfully than I did. That's what's gonna take, and that's what keeps me up at night, and that's how I feel every day about the opportunities I've had.
Man, that's huge. I don't know whether you understand it, but you just described perfectly the difference between moving from mentorship to sponsorship. A mentor is someone who takes time to break bread with you, but you explain, I'm gonna look at a sponsor, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna introduce you to something you don't know, I'm gonna help you fill it out, I'm gonna make sure you get on, and I'm gonna stay there to make sure you're prepared. Man, I can go on and on and on. Listen, this is the first episode that we're launching of this podcast, and I couldn't have started off with somebody with a better banger than the one and only Jimmie McMillan. Brother, thank you for your time, man. Man, keep doing what you do, and I appreciate you being a trailblazer.
Hey, I appreciate you and everything that you're doing. You're so valuable and you're so loved, and we just need to continue to support you in every way we can. As you know, anything I can do for you, I'm down.
Thank you. Listen, that's gonna wrap it up here for the first episode. If you didn't get anything from here, we'll make sure we'll hit it here, and I'll also leave this great man's LinkedIn and information. If you heard what he said, support the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's for everyone. And also, if you have to reach out to him, I guarantee you he's kind enough with his time to give you back. That's it for this episode. Thank you and God bless. Remember, grooming the outer man, and we're gonna guide the inner man. Peace.